I'm hereby calling to order the April 22nd, 2019 meeting of the Mayfield Heights City Council. Lisa, may I have a roll call, please?
Mr. Ballestria?
Present.
Mr. DeJohn?
Here.
Mrs. Finney? Mr. Mano?
Here.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Here.
Mrs. Snyder?
Here.
Mrs. Tressi?
Here. Please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. We will move to the acceptance of the minutes from our last meeting held on April 8th, 2019. I hope that everyone has had time to look them over. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Mano, second by Mrs. Tressi. Are there any suggested changes, amendments, or deletions to these minutes? Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. The minutes are approved as written. Next, we will move on to the agenda, correspondence and announcements. Does any member of council have any correspondence or announcements? Mr. Mano?
The minutes for the Safety and Transportation Committee meeting, I was at the meeting, but I'm not shown on the minutes. So I need a correction on that.
Okay. Thank you. Lisa, you have that right? Okay. Okay. Moving to officers, starting with the mayor.
Thank you and good evening. As you recall, we had a quote from Zenith that we approved to take care of all of our cameras at City Hall to upgrade. Zenith was on site last week to install new cable for the cameras, and they will continue their work this week, and hopefully they'll have everything up and running pretty quickly. As you remember, we're going to have 16 camera locations, and it'll be a much-needed upgrade to our camera system, so that is well underway. We received the first quarter report from Heritage Home Program, and it shows that residents continue to take advantage of the program. There were 20 inquiries, 4 calls for technical assistance, and 4 site visits. You should have received a letter from the mayor's office explaining the program and providing contact information. If you do not have that, you could please call my office and we can get that to you. Or you can go to a community information session, which is scheduled for Mayfield Heights residents on May 1st at the Mayfield Public Library, which is 500 Som Center Road, at 5:30 on May 1st. Anyone looking for more information on the Heritage Home Program. On Friday, April 26th, the city will honor Arbor Day by planting a tree in the city park near the tennis courts. Second grade students from Landers School will attend the event, and we will have wildflower seeds packets to pass out along with sapling trees. Anyone interested in attending the event can join us at 1:30 on Friday. The Spring-Summer City Focus should arrive at households on May 1st. This feature will include a pull-out calendar of city events and frequently asked questions from residents, and a wonderful reference piece as well. If you remember, that calendar was a pretty big hit from last year. You pull it out, stick it on your wall, and you have a calendar with all the city events. So it's a nice thing to have for the summer. And I'd like to thank Tammy and Renee and Mary Beth for doing a good job on that piece. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Mayor. Are there any questions for the mayor? Moving to Director of Law, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I have no formal report, but I would like to point out 2 things. First of all, I'd like to request an executive session at the conclusion of the business of this meeting in order to discuss pending and imminent litigation. Second, I direct council's attention to ordinance number 2019-10, which is currently on first reading, and that is with regard to amending the collective bargaining agreement with the Service Department. State law provides that if council does not approve or reject this provision within 30 days after it was submitted to council, then it is deemed to be approved by the legislative body, that is council. So that date is May 6th. If council doesn't approve or reject that proposed amendment, then it will go into effect on May 6th. If the council doesn't approve or reject it prior to May 6th, and the next meeting is May 13th, so that would necessitate a special meeting, I would guess. But I just wanted to note that. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Are there any questions for Mr. Murphy? Moving to Director of Finance, Mrs. Fagan.
Thank you. Just very quickly, you may have noticed we have a new face up here on the dais this evening. I wanted to introduce Vicki Savage. Vicki's going to be our new Deputy Clerk of Court. We're very sad to see Lisa leaving, but we're very happy to have Vicki joining us. She comes to us with many years of experience in another community and a great knowledge of legislative process, sunshine laws, public records. So we're very much looking forward to that. So welcome to Vicki.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mrs. Fagan? We want to welcome you, Vicki, as well. Next are on our agenda are the reports of committees, commissions, and boards, starting with the Building Committee, which is myself. We have not met, so I have no report this evening. Are there any questions for me? Thank you. Moving to Finance and Audit, Mrs. Sabetta.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. No report.
Thank you. Any questions for Mrs. Sabetta? Legislative Committee, Mrs. Tressi.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. We have not met from the Legislative Committee, so therefore I have no report.
Is there any questions for Mrs. Tressi? Moving to Public Works and Service, Mr. Balestria.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. No report. The Public Works and Services Committee did not meet. However, we do have a resolution on the agenda from previous meeting, 2019-45, that's been amended, and we'll discuss that when it comes up.
Thank you. Parks and Recreation, Mr. Mano.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Registration for day camp, swim lessons, and pool passes are open to residents on Friday, April 26th. Our program's open to non-residents at 7 a.m. We also have several week-long camps this summer. We have tennis camp, cheer camp, sports camp run by Mayfield varsity coaches. For more information on any of these, visit the website at www.mayfieldheights.org and glance through our activity guide or call us at 440-442-2627. Join us on Tuesday, April 30th from 12 to 2 p.m. at the Dijon Community Center for bingo. A light lunch will be included and prizes awarded to winners of each game. The fee is $5 per person, and the registration deadline is Friday, April 26th, sponsored by the Fountains of the Greens. On Tuesday, May 14th, our next adult afternoon out will occur. We are hosting dinner and a movie from 3:30 to 6 p.m. at the Dijon Community Center. Reservation with payment must be made by May 10th. It's $10 per person. The meal will include pork chops, noodles, veggies, dessert, coffee, and water. The movie will be a walk to remember. That's my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mano. Any questions for Mr. Mano? Safety and Transportation, Mr. DeJohn.
Thank you, Madam President. The Safety and Transportation had a meeting before our last council meeting, discussed the new radios for the fire department. That legislation is on our agenda tonight, 2019-44. Chief Bittner gave us a very thorough PowerPoint presentation, which you all saw in your, I'm sorry.
Chief Elliott.
Chief Elliott, I'm sorry. Getting my chiefs mixed up. Chief Elliott gave us a thorough PowerPoint presentation, which supported why he needs new radios. We're going to have a buyback program on our old radios, and he saved the city with this buyback program $28,963. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. DeJohn. Board of Zoning Appeals, Mrs. Sabetta.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Yes, the Board of Zoning met on April 9th, and council has received the minutes. There are 3 items on the agenda, and we can address them when they come forth. I encourage all applicants to address City Council at this public portion of our meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Sabetta. Planning Commission, Mr. Balestria.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Planning Commission did not have an agenda. We did not meet, therefore I do not have the report.
Any questions for Mr. Balestria? Moving to comments from the public. We will now proceed to the public portion of the meeting. Pursuant to City Code, each person will be allotted 5 minutes to speak, with a maximum of 30 minutes allotted for the entire public portion. Although it is not a time for debate, for public debate, this is your opportunity to address council with your concerns. Please know that no personal attacks or comments will be allowed. Also, if you are here in connection with an agenda item, this is your opportunity to address council. If you would like to be heard this evening, please raise your hand and be recognized. Then approach the podium and state your name and address for the record. It is now 7:14. I will open up the public portion. Would anyone like to be heard? Thank you.
John Molchan, 1966 Reeds Court Trail. It's Westlake, Ohio, 44145. We had 2 variances before the BZA. Both actually passed. And I wanted to go through a little bit of the background of what the discussion was, just so you're aware of it. We have we currently were approved for a sign on the Golden Gate Boulevard side of the property. On the Golden Gate Boulevard side, we're sitting 1,000 feet back from the main highway, and all the people that come down Golden Gate Boulevard pretty much live in the neighborhood, and I'd guess that it's maybe 1,000 to 2,000 cars a day. And that I guess is because I have a better idea what happens on the other side. But it's the same, it's coming from a residential neighborhood, it's the same 1,000 or 2,000 cars, so that's, in and out every day, so that's 500 to 1,000 people that see the building, the same ones day after day after day. And we don't believe that that's enough for the project to survive. We had requested a sign on the east side of the building along the private roadway. That, based on the traffic that Costco gets every day, we think is like 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 cars a day. And it's different people every day. So Costco alone has more than 60,000 members. The people that go to Best Buy and Ashley maybe go once or twice a year. So even if they go, if it's only 100 people a day, you multiply it by 365 or 180, it's a lot of people. We don't need to be a sign that's in your face like Costco when you're driving by, say, oh my God, I need paper towels, let's stop at Costco. But we need, when the 10% of the people that need self-storage, you're gonna say, oh yeah, there's one over at Mayfield and 271, so awareness is kind of critical. The first variance that you're going to see today was the allowing it with over a doorway that does not have unrestricted ingress. We do have unrestricted ingress for customers. Costco does the same thing. They only let customers in their door, and the only people that we don't allow in through a key card or a keypad are people with bad intent. That passed unanimously. The second sign, that allows us to have a sign that's 24 feet, 24 square feet. We've requested a larger sign. Must be a big sign because my building won't fit in the square any longer. If you take the code as guidance, we'd be allowed for that distance from the street to have a 584 square foot sign. It only encompasses 12% of the length of the building, so it's relatively proportional. It was brought up that Comfort Inn, which has 2 signs on the private roadway, that their side facing the east is only 60 square feet, but they were rather limited to the size of the center part of that building. Their building is only 25% the width of our proposed building. and their sign, it's also kind of proportional. And they're 3 times closer to the street than we are. So we're about 3 times bigger, but they're 3 times closer to the street. And lastly, it was suggested that the size of the sign is dictated by the speed of the traffic on the road and the distance to the building. Ours is a little closer than Ashley, but that sign is much larger than the one that we had proposed. Ours faces away from all the residential areas. The Ashley sign faces, the backyard, mostly the people on Bonnie Lane can see it. But this is ordinance only passed 4 to 1. If anybody has any questions, I'll stick around for the discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Mulchin. Would anyone else like to be heard this evening? Please step up to the podium.
Good evening, Jennifer Snyder, 12085 Maple Leaf Trail, Chesterland, Ohio, 44026. And I am representing Create Studio, and we requested a variance from the zoning board in order to offer microblading to our clients as a service at our salon. So we've been a salon for 7.5 years, right in Mayfield Heights, 5711 Mayfield Road. And the zoning board was so gracious to approve us doing microblading. So I'm just here representing, and if you have any questions or anything I can offer, happy to answer questions.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Is there anybody else that would like to be heard this evening? Okay, seeing none, I will close the public portion into 7:20. Next on our agenda are resolutions. Resolution 2019-39, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution number 2019-39, a resolution accepting a certain bid for asphalt and declaring an emergency. The proposed contractor is Kokosing Materials, Inc. First reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Balestrea, second by Mr. Mano. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mr. Mano? Yes. Mr. Belestria?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Mrs. Tressi, second by Mr. Balestrea. We should have received a copy of the 4 bids for the asphalt. It was recommended by the service director that there was no need to change the vendors in regards to the 2 bids being the same price. Are there any questions for the mayor or the service director? Any discussion? Okay. Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes.
Mr. Belestria?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes, this resolution has been adopted. Resolution 2019-40, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution number 2019-40, a resolution accepting a certain bid for concrete and declaring an emergency. The proposed contractor is Osborne, Inc., and that's first reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Mrs. Sabetta, second by Mr. Mano. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mr. Belestria?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Mano,
Second.
second by Mr. Balestrea. We should have received a copy of the 5 bids for the concrete. The service director recommends going with Osborne, who is the lowest bidder. Are there any questions? Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. Balestria?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. Resolution 2019-40 has been adopted. Moving to Resolution 2019-41, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution number 2019-41, a resolution confirming the action of the Board of Zoning Appeals of the City of Mayfield Heights and granting to Create Studio, 5711 Mayfield Road, permission to perform microblading and semi-permanent cosmetics as accessory uses at the beauty salon. Alga County permanent parcel number 861-01-001. First reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Mrs. Sabetta, second by Mrs. Tressi. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Belistria?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Mano, second by Mrs. Sabetta. We received the request from the applicant to Create Studio. We heard a little bit from the applicant, Mrs. Snyder. Mrs. Sabetta, would you like anything to add to this from the BZA meeting?
I would just like to say that we as council have been here before and that this is an accessory use. It does not stay with the land. And a condition has been added to section 1 of the resolution stating the applicant has no permission to do tattooing or piercing.
Are there any questions, Mrs. Tressi?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mrs. Sabetta, it is not going to stay with the land, the
No,
variance?
it's not a variance, it's an accessory use.
So if Crete Studio were to close, nothing remains?
Y-
Mr. Balestria is saying yes.
Well, it doesn't stay with the land or the business. Each person, the applicant, it stays with the applicant, but doesn't even follow the applicant. I'm sure Mr. Murphy can explain it better.
Mr. Murphy?
It's a determination by the Board of Zoning Appeals that it is an accessory use that is permitted on that, as long as that use, that is the main use, the beauty shop continues on the property. The beauty shop leaves and that accessory use is no longer with that, yeah.
So, okay.
Now, if that were replaced by another beauty salon, then I would imagine they would have to come back and get a
Reapply.
determination by council again.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any further questions? Okay, roll call on the motion to approve.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Belistria?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. Resolution 2019-41 has been adopted. Moving to Resolution 2019-42, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Resolution number 2019-42, a resolution confirming the action of the Board of Zoning Appeals of the City of Mayfield Heights in granting to Fairchild Management Company a variance to allow a sign on the east side of the proposed self-storage building where there is no unrestricted ingress and egress to the inside of the building at 1413 Golden Gate Boulevard. Tioga County permanent parcel numbers 862-06-050, 862-06-070, 862-06-072, and 862-06-073. First reading.
Can I have a motion to place on first reading?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Sabetta,
Second.
second by Mr. Mano. Roll call on the motion to place on first reading.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Belistria?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Abstain?
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. This motion has been placed on first reading.
Madam Chair, just for the record, Mr. Murphy read 862-06-070 and 071, just for the record.
Thank you, Mayor.
Make a
Okay.
motion.
All right, Resolution 2019-43.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Resolution number 2019-43, a resolution confirming the action of the Board of Zoning Appeals of the City of Mayfield Heights in granting to Fairchild Management Company a variance to allow a 178-square-foot identification sign on the east side of the proposed self-storage building at 1413 Golden Gate Boulevard, Alga County, permanent parcel numbers 862-06-050, 862-06-071, 862-06-072, and 862-06-073. First reading.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to place on first reading?
So moved.
Moved by Mrs. Sabetta, second by
Second.
Mr. Mano. Roll call on the motion to place this on first reading.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Abstain.
Mr. Belstria?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. Resolution 2019-43 has been placed on first reading.
Can I still ask a question? Excuse me. With regards to these resolutions, and I'll direct it to the law director, if
Sure.
I may. Do these lots have to be consolidated? Is there a consolidation that's required prior to these variances being approved?
There is not been a request for a consolidation. I would say there wouldn't be a necessity that one be granted, but somewhere down the line, Mr. Mulchin, I would imagine they would be consolidated.
Mr. Mulchin.
We have the work done to consolidate the 4 plots. We do not currently own the lands until we buy it, and therefore start the thing. We didn't want to consolidate it because that's not what the current owner would like to do at this time. That will happen.
Thank you.
Now we can moving to resolution 2019-44. Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution 2019-44, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Com Products, Inc., DBA B&C Communications, for the purchase and installation of radio equipment for use by the Mayfield Heights Fire Department and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Mano, second by Mrs. Tressi. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mr. Belstria?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Ballestreia.
Second.
Second by Mr. DeJohn. On April 8th, there was a safety and transportation meeting. All members should have been sent a copy of the minutes from the meeting. Chief Elliott sent a memorandum on this radio equipment proposal. As stated in this memorandum, they need to move forward with this sooner in order to us engage in the Motorola buyback program, which ends May 31st. It looks as though the city will be saving $28,000 under the estimated amount. And Mr. DeJohn, is there anything you would like to add to this?
No.
Is there any questions from any council member? Okay, roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. Belstria?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes, this resolution has been adopted. Resolution 2019-45, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution number 2019-45, a resolution authorizing the mayor to amend the contract with Jack Doheny Companies for the purchase of an Elgin Sweet Sweeper for use by the Mayfield Heights Service Department by adding additional equipment and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules? Moved by Mrs. Sabetta, second by Mrs. Tressi. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Belstria?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Mano, second by Mr. Ballestreia. Mayor, do you have any comments on this resolution?
No.
I can explain it a little bit.
Mr. Balestreo?
Just so council was clear, I spoke to our service director. Our sweeper was sent to a wrong location. If you remember, this was approved at the beginning of the year by council. It's taken some time to get here. The same style sweeper is being offered to the city with the addition of an additional brush attachment at half the cost for the city's inconvenience. This is at no cost to the city. The $5,196 are funds that will be taken from the sewer district cost-sharing account, which was approved by the sewer district. I think I got that right, Mr. Fennell, right? Okay, just so council was clear on why we're amending this resolution.
Madam President.
Are there any questions? Mr. DeJohn?
So Mr. Balestria, so our original sweeper went to was sold to another company?
I guess it was just shipped to another location.
And so we can't get that back, so we had to get another?
It would take 90 to 120 days to get back to Mayfield Heights, is my understanding. So this was being offered in lieu of that particular sweeper. It's the same style sweeper,
Same year?
same everything, except it has the additional attachments.
Okay, thank you.
Attachment.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay, thank you, Mr. Balestreo. Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Balestreo?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. Resolution 2019-45 has been approved. Resolution 2019-46, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution number 2019-46, a resolution authorizing the mayor to enter into a contract with Tim Lally Chevrolet for the purchase of one Chevrolet Tahoe for use by the Mayfield Heights Police Department and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Balestreo. Second by Mrs. Tressi. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Balestreo?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Mrs. Sabetta, second by Mrs. Tressi. Are there any questions or comments from members of council? Mr. Mano?
It's a heck of a price on that Tahoe. Usually those things run 50 to 60. That's pretty good price.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes, so am I understanding this right, that they're replacing our Ford Explorer that was damaged a couple years ago? Does anybody have the answer to that question?
Mayor?
Yeah, it is replacing a damaged vehicle. The reason for switching to the Tahoe is we want to see how it works in our fleet, and I'm sure the chief, if you want to add anything to this, you can. Because they're, the new Fords are going to be more expensive and not quite the same as the ones we have now, not quite as good a fit for our department as the current Fords. So one of the reasons is try this out. But go ahead, Chief. I'll let you.
The thing that Mr. Romano pointed out, that price is way better than it ever used to be. We always bought the other vehicles. We felt that the larger vehicles would hold up better for years, but they were $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 more. Just alone with the price back then, and it was some departments did it anyways because the resale value was so high. When you got rid of it, you got your money back. But as you pointed out, Mayor, the Ford stopped making the actual Explorers they stopped producing them in February. That's why we came to you earlier last year to get that order in early, because it was the last year they were producing that model. They retooled their line. From what I'm told, it's going to basically be the same thing. The Lincoln version of that SUV is now going to be a Ford parts on it. And that will be their new model police interceptor. But the price we were buying them for last year was around high 25,000. This year, it's the new one that they're going to put up for sale in August is in the low 32s just to start. And that's with the basic engine that you normally we would get the just the base price alone was actually now more than the Tahoe. So as the mayor said, we'd like to try one just to see. This is kind of, we have the insurance money coming in from the crashed vehicle, plus the sale of the 4 old police vehicles that are gonna get auctioned, if you approve after this meeting. That should more than cover the cost of this vehicle, even though it's brand new and the other one was older.
So, does your department use all Ford Explorers right now?
We currently just, this past year, got where all the frontline vehicles, all 10 are Ford Explorers.
Thank you.
So this will replace one of those, though, one will be the Chevy now.
Any further questions from council? Okay, thank you, Chief. All right, roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Teresi?
Yes.
Mr. Belistria?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. This resolution has been adopted. Resolution 2019-47, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Resolution number 2019-47, a resolution authorizing all actions necessary to continue to accept Northeast Ohio Public Energy Council Energized Community Grants and declaring an emergency. First reading.
Thank you. Is there a motion to suspend the rules?
Move.
By Mrs. Sabetta, second by Mr. DeJohn. Roll call on the motion to suspend.
Mrs. Teresi?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mr. Belistria?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. Is there a motion to approve? Moved by Mrs. Tressi, second by Mr. Balestrea. Is there any discussion? Mayor, would you like to add anything?
Free money.
Okay, good enough. Roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. Balestria?
Yes.
Mrs. Teresi?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes, this motion, or this resolution has been adopted. We'll now move to ordinances with ordinance number 2019-9, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ordinance number 2019-9, an ordinance amending Chapter 1191 of the Codified Ordinances of the City titled Signs by amending Section 1191.10 pertaining to banners on utility poles and declaring an emergency.
Is there a motion to approve?
Move.
Moved by Mr. Mano, second by Mr. Balestrea. Roll call on the motion to approve. Sorry. Yeah. No, we don't want a discussion. This evening, we had a public hearing pertaining to the section of the codified ordinance of the city titled Signs. This section needs to be amended in order for us to be able to put the Hometown Hero banners on our utility poles. I'm proud to say that the city has 56 Hometown Hero banners that we will be displaying this year if this section is amended. Are there any questions from members of council? So with no further discussion, roll call on the motion to approve.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Balestria?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Teresi?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. Ordinance 2019-9 has been approved. Moving to ordinance 2019-10, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ordinance number 2019-10, an ordinance approving an amendment to the collective bargaining agreement negotiated between the City of Mayfield Heights, Ohio, and the Laborers International Union of North America, Local 860, Service Department Bargaining Unit, by deleting Article 34, Promotion to Service Director, approving the execution of said amendment by the mayor, and declaring an emergency. Second reading.
Is there a motion to place this ordinance on second reading?
So
Madam
moved.
Chairman. Okay.
Moved by Mrs. Sabetta, second by Mr. Mano. Roll call on the motion to place ordinance 2019-10 on second reading.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Beltran?
No.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes. It's a 5-2-1 vote. Mr. Mano, would you like to discuss?
Yes, excuse me. Because of the fact that we're under a deadline on this of May 6th, what I would like to do is request an executive session, but I would want to have Mr. Esposito there. I would have to have a representative of the rank and file there, and I'd like to have the HR person there to fully discuss this and have a full explanation made on it so that we can make an intelligent vote on it.
Thank you, Mr. Mano. Mrs. Tressi?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mr. Mano, when you say rank and file, who are you speaking of?
Whoever is representing the service department,
The union?
The-
We have a
the-
union rep there then?
in rep.
Okay. This has been noted. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Snyder.
So the ordinance before us has been placed on second reading. Moving to ordinance 2019-11, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Ordinance number 2019-11, an ordinance amending the zone map of the city of Mayfield Heights, Ohio, so as to rezone permanent parcel numbers 861-29-003 through 861-29-005 inclusive, and 861-29-014 through 861-29-026 inclusive, consisting of 16 parcels on the undeveloped Jasmine Circle in the current U2A1 Planned Unit Development District, 2, U7 Headquarters or Executive Offices Park District in the city of Mayfield Heights, corner of Cedar Road and Landerbrook Drive. Second reading.
Is there a motion to place this ordinance on second reading?
Moved.
Moved by Mr.
Second.
Mano, second by Mr. DeJohn. Roll call on the motion to place ordinance 2019-11 on second reading.
Mr. Mano?
Yes.
Mr. Beltran?
Yes.
Mr. DeJohn?
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta?
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi?
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder?
Yes, this motion has been carried and the ordinance will be placed on second reading with a public hearing to be held May 13th, 2019 at 6:45. We will now move to motions. Motion A, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Motion to advertise for rock salt bids.
Do I have a motion to approve? Moved by Mrs. Sabetta. Second by Mr. Balestria. This is to advertise for rock salt bids, something that we do every year. Unfortunately, we don't like to think about snow, but we have to do this now. Is there any discussion? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next, move to motion B, Mr. Murphy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Motion to authorize the sale of vehicles through Gov Deals. There are 4 vehicles, a 2011 Dodge Charger, VIN 2B3C L1CT3BH587682, a 2012 Dodge Charger, VIN 2C3CD DX80 3CH190495, a 2012 Dodge Charger, VIN 2C3CD DX80 1CH190494, and a 2013 Dodge Charger, VIN 2C3CD DX80 6899941.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Moved.
Moved by Mr. Mano, second by Mr. Balestria. This motion is to authorize the sale of these vehicles through Gov Deals. Is there any question? Are there any questions? Okay. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Are there any questions or comments, new business from council? this time? Okay, seeing none, I would like to make a motion to adjourn into executive session. A motion to move into.
Motion.
Motion, Mrs. Sabetta, moved by? Second by Mr. Balistreo. Roll call on the motion to go into executive session. Lisa?
Mr. DeJohn,
Yes.
Mrs. Tressi,
Yes.
Mr. Balistreo,
Yes?
Mr. Mano,
Yes.
Mrs. Sabetta,
Yes.
Mrs. Snyder.
Yes. At this time, we will adjourn to executive session to discuss pending or imminent litigation.